The year is 1155 BCE. The sun burns over Thebes, but inside the royal palace, shadows move. Gold shimmers on the walls, incense clouds the air, and somewhere in that silence, a scream is swallowed before it's heard. A pharaoh worshipped as a god, soon to be betrayed by his own family. Every jewel, every statue hides a secret too dangerous to speak. Because in Ramesses III's Egypt, power wasn't inherited, it was hunted. If history's darkest truths intrigue you, subscribe and uncover what they never taught us. He was called the last great pharaoh. But behind the mask of a god was a man haunted by dreams. Dreams of knives, whispers, and the faces of his own children turning away. Ramesses feared not death, but betrayal. He ruled an empire that bowed before him, yet he couldn't trust a single soul in his palace. The palace of Ramesses III gleamed like a sun trapped inside stone. Every wall told of victory, every column was carved with gods watching him rule. But beneath the splendor, rot was spreading. Servants whispered of empty granaries, generals plotted in silence, and the harem, once a garden of beauty, became a nest of ambition. The pharaoh, older now, moved through his halls with slow, heavy steps, his face carved in pride, his eyes clouded with worry. He could sense it, the stillness before a storm. Outside, the Nile glowed red under the sunset. Inside, the queen's attendants bowed, hiding smirks behind veils. Among them stood Ti, his secondary wife, her perfume heavy with lotus, and her smile sharper than any blade. One night, as Ramesses prayed to Amun for peace, Tia whispered another kind of prayer, to end the reign that kept her son from the throne. The gods, it seemed, had stopped listening, and in that silence the first seeds of murder began to bloom. Something inside the palace had begun to die, and no one could yet see who was digging the grave. Far from the throne room, in a chamber heavy with perfume and fear, the conspiracy took shape. Tia gathered her most trusted attendants, scribes, guards, even magicians. Each swore an oath under the god of silence. They called it the Great Plan. The goal: kill the living god and crown her son Pentuer. Hidden in silk scrolls were coded letters, recipes for poison, lists of allies and payment promises to assassins disguised as servants. The palace corridors became veins carrying messages instead of blood. One letter never reached its destination. A scribe's trembling hand hesitated. His loyalty wavered. He slipped the parchment into a wall crack, fearing discovery more than death itself. Days later, a maid found it. Her eyes widened. The wax seal bore T's mark. Some secrets are too powerful to destroy. They spread like fire, quiet, unseen, until everything burns. And in the heart of the palace, the king began to notice how many smiles no longer reached the eyes. The festival of Min was coming, a night of feasts, wine, and blood. The game had begun. It was supposed to be a celebration, the great festival of fertility and renewal. Ramesses wore his crown of lapis and gold, his laughter echoing through the halls. But behind the dancers, the conspirators moved like ghosts. Wine was poured, heavy with bitterness. Music grew louder, covering the sound of footsteps. A servant's hand trembled as he passed the pharaoh's cup. Another reached for the oil lamp, ready to smother the light. Then, chaos. A scream, a clash, the sound of a cup shattering. The torchlight flickered on something glinting red. Guards rushed in, blades drawn. But no one knew who was loyal anymore. Poison failed. The plan shattered. The assassins fled through corridors, slick with fear. The pharaoh lived, but barely, his throat gashed, his body bleeding under the weight of betrayal. As healers scrambled to save him, Tia's chamber fell silent. Her son's future dissolved with every drop of royal blood. Outside, thunder rolled over Thebes. Inside, the gods had turned their faces away, and from his final breath came a question no one dared answer. Which of you loved me enough to kill me? If you're still watching, you already feel it. The weight of power, the price of truth. History isn't just names in stone. It's the heartbeat of people who dared too much. Subscribe, and together we'll keep uncovering the human cost behind every crown. Months later, the halls reeked of incense and judgment. Ramesses III was dead. Egypt demanded blood for blood. Dozens were arrested, wives, sons, guards, priests. They called it the Harem Conspiracy trial. No courtroom, no witnesses. Just torches, papyrus confessions, and men in masks deciding fates. Tia's name was read aloud. Her son Pentauer stood accused of patricide. The evidence was clear: letters, servants, whispers that refused to die. But something else haunted the scrolls. A missing name. One conspirator's identity vanished, erased. Even the scribes dared not write it. Was it a royal advisor? A priest? A lover? The truth drowned in ritual silence. T was executed. Pentauer forced to take his own life. But history is written by survivors, and someone survived. Wind howled through an empty hallway. The palace that once ruled the world now echoed only with guilt. Egypt had its justice, but justice had no memory. And sometimes forgetting is the cruelest punishment of all. The burial procession moved through twilight. They wrapped Ramesses III in linen soaked with resin, sealing the wound on his throat, the mark of his betrayal. The priests whispered that his spirit would hunt those who wronged him. Years passed, dynasties crumbled. Yet when archaeologists unwrapped his mummy centuries later, they found something chilling. The cut, still visible, deep and clean. His mouth frozen open as if mid-curse. The men who found him reported strange dreams. One woke screaming of a figure standing at his bedside, eyes like burning gold. Some say the Pharaoh's spirit still guards the truth, that final missing name. Because even in death, power remembers. And those who steal it never rest. History buried his killers. But the scar on his neck remains, whispering, power built on betrayal will always bleed. Every empire falls. Every throne hides a secret. What would you have done? Serve a god who ruled through fear, or join the hands that struck him down? Tell me in the comments. If you felt this story, like the video, and subscribe for the next descent, where love and poison once decided the fate of another kingdom.